Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Parker Love Sports YouTube channel. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to spend them here with me. If you do enjoy this video, make sure you do leave a like and subscribe to the channel down below, as the support is greatly appreciated. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers by the time the Super Bowl gets here, so if you can help me reach that goal, that would mean the world to me. Now, in today's video, we are going to be covering my guys, people who I think the Broncos should draft. Obviously, our first two picks are back-to-back picks in the third round. So I do believe that the Broncos right here, these are the just players that I think the Broncos should draft. There is some positional value weighed into this, but it's mostly the players themselves who I would want the Broncos to draft in the third round, with obviously the back-to-back picks, and some players that I want the Broncos to draft later in the first round. So all that and more. And before we get started, as always, I want to remind you that Jesus is King. I pray that you give your life to him. He's got a plan and a purpose for you. And in order to get to heaven, all you have to do is believe with your whole heart that Jesus died on the cross for your sins. And if you truly do believe that, then you'll go to heaven. It's that simple. It's that easy. And as a Christian, I feel it's important to spread this message to as many people as possible. And a lot of people won't like it, but frankly, I don't care. I have this platform, and a small platform at that, to share with this message. And I'm going to do it. I don't care what the world thinks of me, and I'm just going to do it. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into my guy. It's going to be a couple of honorable mentions, and the first of three honorable mentions is going to be Xavier Hutchinson, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Now, of course, us Broncos fans, we really don't need a wide receiver in this draft, and that's why they're honorable mentions, because when you think about our current wide receiver core, obviously Jerry Jeudy, my favorite player, who I also believe is the wide receiver one, got Courtland Sutton, who had a little bit of a down year last year, but I'm hoping he can bounce back in a big way this upcoming season. Then we, of course, have got Tim Patrick coming off of his ACL injury. You got KJ Hamler as well, Montrell Washington as a depth guy. So don't necessarily need a receiver. And also the fact that with Sean Payton being our new head coach, maybe do the Broncos sign Michael Thomas? There's been rumors that Brandon Cooks wants to come to the Broncos, so we'll have to see. So that's the main reason why the wide receivers are an honorable mention. But I really like Xavier Hutchinson out of Iowa State. I think he's really an underrated guy. In 37 games with the Cyclones, he had 254 receptions, 2,929 yards, 11.5 average per catch, and 15 touchdowns, which is really spectacular, honestly. And if the Broncos were to go receiver in the late rounds, Xavier Hutchinson would be someone who I had my eyes on. Our next honorable mention is going to be another wide receiver, Parker Washington, wide receiver out of Penn State. Washington, to me, has the best hands in this class. He's going to catch most everything that comes his way. There have not been a lot of drops in Washington's career. Not to mention, he has great ball skills. He's going to track the ball very well, and he's going to high point and go catch that ball. When the ball's in the air, it is his. That is his best ability. You know, he's very shifty. I think he can improve on his route running a little bit. He's got some solid speed. To me, Washington would be a slot receiver for the Broncos, as he played 90% in the slot this past offseason. Or not this past offseason, but at Penn State, he played 90% in the slot. So to me, this would be a move if, obviously, you keep Jerry Jeudy as wide receiver one, then you keep Tim Patrick or Courtland Sutton and trade the other guy, and then Parker Washington has a role in the slot, and then obviously that would probably mean you're moving on from KJ Hamler. So I don't know. In that situation, I would probably want Parker Washington, but at this present moment, I really just don't think we need a wide receiver right now. And 32 games with the Nittany Lions, he has 146 receptions for 1,920 yards, averaging about 13.2 yards per play and scoring 12 touchdowns. And then our third and final honorable mention is going to be Jalen Duncan, offensive tackle out of Maryland. Duncan is a 6'6" tackle. I forgot to put the little mark after the second 6, my bad. 320 pounds. Now, the plus size of Jalen Duncan, he has great size and length to him, which, you know, you want in offensive tackles. He's quick at being a lateral mover. And this evaluation is thanks to the Draft Network, just because the fact that to me, offensive line, I struggle with evaluating. That's my weak suit when I'm scouting prospects. The other prospects, like receivers, quarterbacks, most positions I'm solid at. It's offensive line that kind of that's hard for me. But he does have some good athleticism, and he is a developmental tackle. So he's someone who you would draft, but maybe sit behind a guy like Billy Turner, Calvin Anderson, shoot, even Garrett Bowles to learn. And then in the future, you would move him across from Garrett Bowles. So that's someone, he isn't an instant starter. So maybe you grab him in the third round and you want to develop him. Maybe if he slips to the later rounds, you grab him as a developmental tackle. But he's one of my favorite tackles in this class, and I thought I'd give him an honorable mention. But now let's jump in to my number 10 on my guys list. At number 10, it is going to be J.L. Skinner, safety out of Boise State. Now, I know we don't need a safety necessarily. Sorry, I think I said center. J.L. Skinner, safety out of Boise State. I think I misspoke there. My fault. But J.L. Skinner, safety out of Boise State. I know we don't need a safety with obviously Justin Simmons starting at free safety, and then Kareem Jackson is going to most likely be moving on from the team this offseason. But we do have Caden Stearns to take his place, which I really like. And then you've also got guys like PJ Locke, who I think is a free agent. You got a 5th-round rookie last year in Delaren Turner-Yell, who could make an impact. But if Sean Payton isn't impressed and he wants to address that strong safety position, J.L. Skinner at this point would be my top safety, because at this point, I think obviously Brian Branch, who is my favorite prospect in this draft, is going to be off the board. I believe Jordan Battle, his teammate at Alabama, will be off the board. So to me, J.L. Skinner is a safety prospect if we want to go in that direction, who I would like. And then 38 games with the Boise State Broncos. He has 133 solo tackles, 75 assist tackles, 208 total tackles, 12 passes defended, and 7 interceptions. At number 9, I'm going to go with Owen Papao, linebacker out of Auburn. Papao would be someone who the Broncos, I would take more in the 5th round area, not necessarily in the 3rd round. So that's why he's lower down the list. But, you know, he is someone who can really do everything you ask of him. He can defend the pass. He can defend the run. He can rush the passer. He can do everything you ask him to at that interior linebacker position. And looking at our interior linebackers, let's say, for example, we bring back Alex Singleton and Jonas Griffith, who are both on expiring deals. I like Jonas Griffith as a depth linebacker, not necessarily starting. And then, Josie Jewell's contract is going to expire next season. So it's really to a point where I like Josie Jewell and I like Alex Singleton for what they do, but I think we need to add some more depth and someone who can take over eventually, because, I like Alex Singleton, had the most tackles on the team. He really isn't the most athletic guy like Josie Jewell, but his contract is expiring after this upcoming season. So to me, we need to address linebacker at some point, whether that be in free agency, this draft, or next year's draft. Why not get a guy like Owen Papao, who can really do everything and is a veteran for college standards. He has 41 games played with the Tigers, 145 solo tackles, 111 assist tackles, 256 total tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, 7 passes defended, and 2 interceptions. Yeah, Papao would be someone who I would be intrigued for the Broncos to grab to really beef up that interior linebacker core, because I still think it is a weaker position for us. Justin Strnad, 5th-round rookie in 2020, and hasn't really impressed me. Alex Singleton, Josie Jewell, both were solid starters, so we'll see what happens there. Jonas Griffith, he has been impressive to me when he's been on the field. And so, it's not the strongest core, but I would like to see us address it at some point in this draft. With my number 8, my guy, it is going to be Garrett Williams, cornerback out of Syracuse. In the early stages, I'm talking about a few days after last year's draft, I did a way too early mock draft that I didn't post, and I had Garrett Williams going in the 1st round. Kind of fell out of that 1st round talk, but I still think he is a fantastic prospect out of Syracuse, and I do believe that we need to draft a corner somewhere, because one of my viewers brought up in my last mock draft video, the Broncos could well cut Ronald Darby and save $9 million in cap. So when you look at that, then the other corners are going to be Damari Mathis, rookie, who I really like, K'Wan Williams, Pat Surtain, obviously. And then next season, K'Wan Williams' contract is going to expire, and you really got Damari Mathis and Pat Surtain as the only corners under contract. So I do believe the Broncos need to address corner at some point. And Garrett Williams across from Patrick Surtain, I think, would be a fantastic 1-2 combination. So yeah, Garrett Williams out of Syracuse is my number 8, my guy, in 28 games with the Orange. He has 115 solo tackles, 37 assist tackles, 152 total tackles, 21 passes defended, and 4 interceptions. Number 7, my guy, it's a guy who I have been posting in the last few Broncos mock drafts, and honestly, I've started to get a lot of buzz after I posted those 2 mocks. You know, he's had a great Senior Bowl, so I don't think the Broncos will be able to get him in the 6th round. I think if the Broncos want him, you're going to have to take him in the 5th round at the latest, maybe even the 4th round with how much he has started to jump up boards. But yeah, like I said in the past, he is someone who has a lot of speed, explosiveness, and burst. He's going to be very effective on the ground game, but he's also going to be effective through the passing game as a receiving back. He's going to run through people. He can run around people. He can pretty much do it all. I think Tyjae Spears is a real diamond sleeper in this draft, and man, someone who I would love for the Broncos to draft here this year. In 33 games with Tulane, he has 427 rush attempts for 2,910 yards, averaging about 6.8 yards per carry and scoring 31 touchdowns. But he also had 48 receptions for 564 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. So again, a versatile back. I think that's something that we need. Javonte Williams will come back at some point this season, be that bruiser, be that physical running back who's going to be obviously running back number 1. Then you got Chase Edmonds, who could be a cap casualty as well. Maybe we bring back Latavius Murray, Marlon Mack, Mike Boone, one of those guys. But Tyjae Spears would be someone who I'd be intrigued to be the running back while we wait for Javonte Williams to recover from his injury last year. My number 6, my guy, is going to be DeMarvion Overshown, linebacker out of Texas. Once again, another linebacker who can do it all. Rush the passer, defend the pass, stop the run, blitz, obviously, if you need him to. So someone who I would like for the Broncos to take a shot on. He's probably my number 1 linebacking prospect for the Broncos to take in the 3rd round. Just due to the fact, obviously, that, don't have a 1st or a 2nd round pick. And so at that point, DeMarvion Overshown is the best linebacker that is still consistently on the board when I do mocks. And in 39 games with the Longhorns, he has 136 solo tackles, 113 assist tackles, 249 total tackles, 30.5 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, 17 passes defended, and 3 interceptions. And once again, like I said with Owen Papao, I do believe that the Broncos need to strengthen and improve that interior defensive line, or not interior defensive line, interior linebackers. My number 5 prospect is going to be my best corner prospect, and that is going to be Kyu Blue Kelly, corner out of Stanford. A lot of you guys know, if you watch my mock drafts, Blue Kelly is someone who I love mocking to the Broncos, either with our 2nd, 3rd round pick in the back-to-back, or with our 4th round pick. I think he's a fantastic corner, the 2nd best corner in the Pac-12 last season, obviously behind Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon and previously out of Colorado. But yeah, Blue Kelly would be another guy who I'd want to line up across from Pat Surtain, and just have that 1-2 punch in Surtain and Kyu Blue Kelly. And 36 game with the Cardinal, he has 111 solo tackles, 36 assist tackles, 147 total tackles, 23 passes defended, and 3 interceptions. My 4th best player for the 4th best, my guy for the Broncos is going to be Matthew Bergeron, offensive tackle out of Syracuse. So 2 Syracuse players on here. He's 6'5", 322 pounds, and the things that you like about Matthew Bergeron is the experience that he brings. He's played a lot of football, so I do love the experience that he brings. He's got solid length, which you'd like to see. Maybe not as great as Jalen Duncan, but it is still very, very solid. And he's versatile. If you want to play him at offensive tackle, you can do that. or if you need to move him in to guard, if he's struggling at tackle, he can do that as well. So he's got the versatility to play at guard or at tackle if you want him to. Next up on my guys, it is going to be Luke Weipler, center out of Ohio State. The second best center in this class, in my opinion. He's 6'3", 300 pounds. And I just want to start off before I start getting into... No, I'll get into why Luke Weipler's a good center, and then we'll talk about the center situation for the Broncos. He's got good control. He's really great at positioning himself as a blocker. Very strong as a pass blocker. Maybe as a run blocker, he can improve just a little bit. Kind of lacks versatility, which you don't like to see. Really can only play center. And there's a ton of room for improvement for Weipler. So, yeah. And we'll get into the center situation. So I would say if the Broncos do draft him, maybe he develops a year behind Lloyd Cushenberry. Because when you look at it, you know, you could have Graham Glasgow play center if you wanted to. I wouldn't do that. I think he's getting close to an expiring contract. And he also could be a cap casualty, Graham Glasgow. You got Lloyd Cushenberry, who's going into his last year on his rookie deal. Hasn't been super spectacular, so I don't really know if the Broncos will bring him back after this season. So that's where I'm thinking. Or you also got Luke Wattenberg, our fifth-round rookie last year, who could play center. But I would have Luke Weipler develop under Lloyd Cushenberry, get that improvement that he needs. Maybe then have Lloyd Cushenberry go to free agency. And then you have Luke Weipler as your starting center. That would be probably the ideal role for him, and I think Luke Weipler has the ability to become a very solid center. At number 2, it is going to be my favorite guard in this class, Emil Ekiyor out of Alabama. Man, this guy can do it all. He's 6'3", 306 pounds. He has lots of college experience at Alabama, a very, very physical lineman. He's solid in both the run and pass game, so he's going to help you out with, obviously, clearing a hole for Javonte Williams, but also protecting Russell Wilson in the pocket. Got shorter arms, and that's kind of why he's playing guard, but I do believe that he is a plug-and-play starter, so, you know, Dalton Risner, maybe he doesn't re-sign with the Broncos. Boom, you can plug him in at left guard and start him right away, and then I guess if that happens, you would have Garrett Bowles, then Emil Ekiyor, Lloyd Cushenberry, Quinn Miners, and then whoever you want as your right tackle. So if the Broncos don't want to bring back Dalton Risner, then there is Emil Ekiyor for you to come back or to come and start right away. And yeah, he's one of my favorite prospects and someone who I'm hoping the Broncos draft. And then my number 1, my guy, it's going to be Will McDonald, the 4th edge out of Iowa State. Yeah, I mean, McDonald was someone who I thought could have easily become a first-round prospect through this season. Didn't necessarily happen, and, you know, maybe he still goes early second. Maybe he sneaks into the late first. And I wouldn't blame the team for taking him in the first. I think he's a very talented prospect. But if he slips to the 3rd round, he's someone who I would want the Broncos to draft desperately. Because you think about it. Sure, a lot of people... You know, I mean, we're solid at edge. A lot of people say we're solid at edge, including myself. But if Will McDonald's there, he's someone who I want because Randy Gregory has had trouble staying on the field so far in his one season with the Broncos. Baron Browning is solid. You know, you got Nick Bonito, got Jonathan Cooper, a bunch of guys. But the talent with Will McDonald, if he slips into the 3rd round, man, I think you just instantly, you got to take him, at least in my opinion. He's my number 1, my guy. My favorite prospect that I think the Broncos are potentially able to get in the 3rd round. And, man, I do think it's a long shot. But if he does slip into the 3rd round, man, I would be extremely, extremely happy. In 48 games with the Cyclones, he has 80 solo tackles, 45 assist tackles, 125 total tackles, 40.5 tackles for loss, and 34 sacks. That is my guys video. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel down below. The support is greatly appreciated. My name is Parker, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.